So today's session is quite simple, really. I want to introduce you to INSEAD, to our Masters in Management program. So, I'll start with just the basic information on INSEAD and the program, and then during the meetups, we'd assess your profiles and have a deeper conversation in terms of your goals and aspirations. So without further ado, I always like to start with a quick introduction on INSEAD. What is INSEAD? Who is INSEAD? Who are we? So INSEAD is a business school. What that basically means is we specialize in business education. We don't have any other degrees. We don't have engineering programs like universities. That's a difference between a university, which has multiple subjects, and then you have business schools that just specialize in business education. We've been around for quite some time. INSEAD was organized in 1957 by George Deroyd. He was a French national and a Harvard graduate, and he was a professor there. And keep in mind, 1957 was just post-World War II. So what he envisioned was a business school in Europe that brings together different European countries and people to, with the common goal of developing economies, right? You can imagine post-World War, the world was quite segregated, a lot of political differences. So he imagined the school will bring together countries to work towards economic development. So that was in 1957, and since then we've come quite a long way. It's one of the top ranked business schools in the world. We were the first MBA program outside the US to offer a one-year format. We were the pioneers of company-specific programs, and in our short history, we've ranked. INSEAD is one of the first schools to have all their top programs ranked highly. So this is just a little bit on INSEAD. And I think as prospective students, when you're looking at schools, right, you need to find a school that aligns with your value system. Right. So for INSEAD, that's diversity, business as a force of good. How can we create leaders who are not only thinking about generating profits for the organization, but also giving back to society? Okay. So INSEAD, INSEAD has presence, I should mention where INSEAD is located. So INSEAD has presence in 4 continents. In 1957, when it was first established, the first campus was in Fontainebleau. Fontainebleau is in France. It's about 70 kilometers off Paris. It's in the second largest forest in France. It's a beautiful, beautiful campus. So imagine lots of trees, hiking grounds, and, in the small picturesque French village. That's where Fontainebleau is, but a village where everyone speaks English. From then, we progressed to open our Asia campus in Singapore. It's right in the middle of Singapore. So here you can think more metropolitan. It's surrounded by all the top companies. Everything is close by. So a very different vibe than Fontainebleau. We also have a campus here in Abu Dhabi. That's where I'm based. And that's predominantly for the Global Executive MBA. But the reason why this is important is because you have to think, if INSEAD has presence in all these locations, then our alumni community is strong. Our connection with the business community is strong. So therefore, the possibility of finding placement in those particular countries is pretty high. Abu Dhabi, for example, so not Abu Dhabi, but the UAE, which includes Dubai as well, is one of the highest, talent absorber of INSEAD. So a lot of the graduates from INSEAD end up in Dubai because it's a tax-free location and the packages are pretty competitive. We also have a hub of business innovation in San Francisco. So that's our first step into the continent, which is really exciting. So this hub is there so that we can leverage on the offerings of Silicon Valley. Currently, we only have the executive educations running, the short programs running from there. But our MIM and MBA students can do a career trek to San Francisco and take advantage of the offering. Once you graduate from any INSEAD program, so be it the full-time MBA, the Master's in Management, and there are other degree programs, you become a member of the alumni community. Now, this community is vast. We're talking about 65,000 plus members across 177 countries. So you can imagine how far and diverse INSEAD's reaches. This group becomes your support system in terms of your career, in terms of finding partners for your next business idea, or just a couch for you to sleep on when you're traveling around the world. This is the community you join. It's a community of like-minded people who work very closely together. And the only way you can experience this community, to be honest, is by speaking to our alums and our current students. And we host a lot of events with our alumni and our current students. So if you get the chance, do join these events so you get to hear from them, their stories and their journey. So why does one decide to join a just a moment. This is better. Yes. So why does one decide to do a master's in management, for example, or an MBA program? The main reason usually is to launch a global career, right? And a global career in business. So if you're thinking of, getting into any of these industries, food and beverage, consulting, entertainment, sustainability, INSEAD opens the door for you. All right. Now, today, we're just going to focus on the Master's in Management program just because it's designed for fresh graduates. But any of our programs really help you break into any of these industries. With the Master's in Management, it's designed for fresh graduates. So we're talking about students with 0 to 2 years of experience. On average, our students may have 1 year of experience, and that could be through internship, or they've just graduated and they had a chance to work for 1 year. So think looking to launch a global career. If you take anything from this webinar today, just think INSEAD's MIM program will help me launch a global career, and in a short period of time. So the program is 10 months and you have the opportunity to study in different campuses. So this is the profile of our MIM 2023 class. So this is the class that just started in August. As you can see, we have 161 students from this program. They come from 35 different nationalities. So if you speak to our alums or our current students, the one thing they'll tell you is INSEAD is very diverse. And I know that a lot of other schools may say the same thing, but it's not like INSEAD. At INSEAD, only 9% of our student body have English as their native language. So you can imagine how your classroom is really a mini, UN meeting. That's how diverse the community is. So the age is usually between 21 to 24. As I said, 0 to 2 years of experience. If you have more than 2 years of experience, you usually become a candidate for the full-time MBA program, which requires you to have experience. So the GMAT is a requirement for the program, as is for most of the top ranked schools, and our range can go from 640 to 750, and we do accept the GRE as well. So this is how your program is designed, right? It's 10 months and then followed by 4 to 6 months of your internship. Now, the first, or one of the most common questions I get asked is, oh yeah, but I've completed my bachelor's in English, so why would I pursue a master's in management, let's say? And I think there are key differences in how content is delivered, right? Your bachelor's degree may be more focused on the theoretical aspect of things, whereas, with your master's, it's more of a hands-on experience, right? We're talking case studies, business simulations, workshops, practicals. So it's a very different experience than, reading it in, reading your textbook and then sitting for your exam. Here you get to really play with the concepts and ideas and test them and learn it in a different way that sticks, right? So to do that, we ensure, so just to, if you look at the, I don't know how clear the slide is for you, but as you can see, there are 3 elements here. So you have your core courses. So if we take period 1, for example, let's say you have 3 core courses there, which is data analysis, financial accounting, and marketing. So the first 6 weeks are in-class experience, right? So you're sitting in class with your professor, with your classmates, you have case studies, you have your pre-readings to do, you come to class and you discuss the case, study it, learn it, ask your questions. After your 6 weeks, the next 2 weeks is highly focused on implementing what you've learned, right? So this could be through the workshops and your practicals. So you may be assigned to work for a particular company, let's say. You do a strategy project for them or a data analysis project for them. And that's how you apply your learning. And of course, after your 6 weeks, you have your exams, and then you finish your first period, and then you move on to the second period, all right? Period 1 to 3 is going to be in Fontainebleau. So that's going to be in your France campus. All right. You have your core courses assigned to you by INSEAD. And as you can see, this is quite diverse. So you cover everything from data analysis, marketing, strategy, machine learning. When we were designing the curriculum, we went to our the top 500 companies, and we asked them what is it that they need to, in terms of skills from MIM students, and based on that we've created this curriculum. So it's pretty it more or less guarantees that you find a job within the industry that you're targeting. All right, so period 1 to 3 you're in Fonty. And then after that, you all pack your bags and move to Singapore for the next 4 months. So basically period 4, period 5, you're going to be in Singapore. After each period, you have about 1 week off to recoup. That's what I'd like to think. But usually what happens with our students is that they pack their bags and they travel around, experiencing Europe or Asia. What else? As you're going through your core courses, you have certain trips that you have to do. So for example, you see at the bottom, optional field trip to Abu Dhabi, China, or the USA. So it is mandatory that you do at least one of these trips, the week-long trips, and that could be in like the location of your interest really. Period 5. Also, if you notice, it says electives, right? Here you get to customize the classes you want. So let's say that, if you're thinking about going into marketing and you feel that you're lacking certain, aspects or knowledge, then you can do your electives, all of your electives in those particular topics. Or you can mix and match. So you can have strategy, finance, marketing. It's completely up to you what you do. And then after you finish your 10 months of in-class experience, you move on to your internship. Now, some of the other schools may have the internship in the middle of the program, but for us, we strategically put it towards the end because we want you to have the most chance for it to convert to a full-time opportunity. Right. So if you start working and they say, hey, we like you and we would like you to continue, you don't have to be like, but I have to go back to school and finish my program. No, you'll be done with the program. You will have certain deliverables that you need to submit, obviously, as you're working. But the 4 to 6 month internship can fulfill the requirements of a full-time job as well. So as you're going, the program is intense. I'm not going to lie, in comparison to your program, you're probably having classes 5 to 6 times a week, but it's a lot of fun as well. Every aspect of the program is mostly done in group work. So we break you into study groups, and you and your classmates will be studying together, preparing for exams and projects together. So it's not going to be you alone with your books in the library. That's not what the INSEAD experience is. Throughout the program, you have your career coach, obviously, that you work with. You have, cultural days. You have workshops that you attend that are career-based, let's say. Yes, so campus life is quite vibrant. So this is the stats. Our pioneer class that started in 2020, so that means they graduated in 21. As of right now, 99% of them received job offers within 20 countries from 59 recruiters. And these numbers are huge. This is the first class that graduated because the MIM program was like our first class started in 2020, right in the midst of the pandemic. So this speaks volume to the brand INSEAD is and the opportunities it opens for you. These are some of the companies that recruited our students. As you can see, the top consulting firms, BCG, Bain, McKinsey, and then you have some of the tech firms as well. Yeah, but this is a small list. So in terms of applying for the program, what do you need to do to be part of this program? The first step I would say is to get your GMAT or GRE out of the way. It is a mandatory test, so you can start preparing for it while you're in your last year of university, or once you graduate, and if you have a little bit of break, you can prepare for your GMAT. And I'm sure SEED also organizes sessions with GMAC, which are the GMAT providers. So if you do get the chance, do join these sessions because they break down the test for you and really help you prepare for it. Once you've got the test out of the way, then you start the online application. The application usually takes our students anywhere between a month to 3 months to complete. So you have your motivation essay that you need to complete. Those are so you're answering 2 questions really. You need 2 letters of recommendations. So one could be from your professor or your boss, or if you have a mentor, that's great. Then of course you need your academic transcript. If you're in your last year, then your grade sheet that you have to this point would suffice. And then you require a language certificate. So one thing I didn't mention is INSEAD has a language requirement. So we need our students to speak 2 languages coming in and a 3rd one upon graduation. As I said in the beginning, INSEAD is a mission-driven school, right? So when the school was founded in 1957, Germany, English, and French were the main languages that were required for you to join INSEAD at the time. Now we've extended it to include any of your mother tongue. So I'm Ethiopian, for example, and I speak Amharic, and that's my mother tongue. So when I apply to INSEAD, if I were to apply to INSEAD, because I've completed my bachelor's in English, that becomes my official language. My mother tongue becomes my 2nd language. So your mother tongue is not tested because it's just your mother tongue. And then you join INSEAD. And when you join INSEAD, if you don't speak a 3rd language, then you can take classes there. So for example, I choose French as my 3rd language. I need to pass the language test at an A2 level. So if you look at the gradings of your language testing, A2 is just a 2nd level, so it's just working level. It's not too difficult, it is possible, and so I do a couple of classes, I sit for the test, and that language requirement is fulfilled. Okay, so once you've completed your application, you submit it online, and then you get a link for your video interview. So these are like 5 questions that pop up, and you have 40 seconds to kind of think of the answer and a minute to answer. I mean, I'll be happy to go into more details if you have questions around the application. And those I usually also prefer to do on a one-to-one basis, because then I can assess your profile and, I can give you feedback based on that. So we only have 1 intake each year, and that's every August. So right now we're accepting application for the August 2023 class. The first deadline was in October 4th. The second one is coming up in November 3rd. But we operate on a rolling basis admissions, right? So these are just guidelines for you. You submit your application when you feel it's ready. right? And we start reviewing it from that point. Once you submit your online application, we review it, and then you may be invited for an interview with our admissions representative or our alumni. Then we collect the feedback from the interviews. We go back to the admissions committee, your profile is assessed, and the final decisions given. Usually this takes anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, so this brings me to my last slide, and that's tuition. The tuition for the entire program is 49,500 euros. Most of our students tend to, fund the program through a combination of loans, financial aid, scholarship, and of course, parental support. Now, when you look at the tuition, you may feel, oh, wow, this is too pricey of an investment for me. But keep in mind that, students that do go through an INSEAD, be it MBA, Masters in Management, the ROI is pretty quick. Between 3 to 5 years, you would have paid off any loans you would have taken, in addition to building a very strong career and having a support system for life. So when you're assessing which program, don't only focus on, the short-term benefit, as in, oh, what's going to be my first job after the program, but rather think about it in a long-term point of view, right? Where is this program going to help me get in 5 to 10 years? What's the ROI then? And then, you'll see the value of investing in yourself super early, especially when you're launching your career, because that gives you a jump start that and at times may be quite difficult to access if not, taken if you don't take the opportunity at the right time. So I think I'll stop here and see if there are any questions that I can take.
Yes, second, we do have a couple of questions that have already cropped in. I'm going to quickly ask you, some of them. I'm going to first look at Shema's question. She's asking about, are the applications assessed on a rolling basis? It was mentioned earlier that she just wanted to confirm about, some of the deadlines or how the application process works.
Yeah, so they are on a rolling basis, but these are guidelines, because let's say that you wait for the last deadline, which is May 17th. You can definitely apply and you have equal chances of getting accepted to the program. However, that gives you a very short time to prepare yourself for the move if you were to get accepted. So take that into consideration. If you're already in Europe, sure, it's just might be a 1-hour flight away. But if you're coming from across the world, you may want to apply earlier on, just so you have enough time to prepare.
Okay, I think that's great. I hope, Shema, that has answered your question. My next question is from Manuela. I think it's a very interesting question. She asks, how often is the curriculum or the course structure change? Does it, does the current one factor some of the recent changes and development? It's a very interesting question, because students want to study what is happening right now or what will happen in the near future. And a school like INSEAD, just your thoughts on how quickly this is, changing.
Absolutely. Well, the good thing is this is a new program. So our first class literally graduated in 21. So we were looking and developing the curriculum around 2019, 2020. So it's as relevant as it can be to today's world. That's the first thing. And because the way the program is designed, where you have your classes, obviously you have the typical case studies that you have to do, but you're working with companies. You're working with and we're getting information on what's happening in the market now, and based on that you're expanding your horizon. So the learning occurs in many different ways, right? So it's through your professor, it's through the case studies, but also through the organizations directly. So it's as relevant as it can be.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for answering that question. I've got two more questions, so I'm going to take both of them, and then we'll move on to the next Zoom meeting, which is the profile evaluation session. So people who are on this call, if your profile evaluation session starts in 1 minute, whichever part of the world you are in, please note that this is not the Zoom link where the profile evaluation will happen. You would have already received it in your calendar, and my colleague is also going to remind you to attend that session, so please do so. My next question is from William. William wants to know, what is the schedule of fee payment? Does the fee payment have to happen all before the start of the program, or do you have some options for fee payment at a later stage?
So usually it depends on how you're paying for your tuition, right? And as I said, most of our students will apply for Prodigy Finance or Brain Capital. And if that's the case, then the loan amount just directly is credited to INSEAD. And then you work. So once you get accepted, you're connected with our financial aid team, and you both figure out what works for you and INSEAD. So there is flexibility, that comes later. So don't worry about it too much at this point. I think, we humans tend to have a block where, oh no, this, if I don't know how I'm going to fund this, then I'm not going to apply. And I think you should really give yourself a chance to, to put yourself out there, get accepted, and then figure out the funding. And this will be the feedback that you get from our alums, our current students. I promise you it will work out somehow.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I know there are a couple of questions, but we are running out of time because we kept only 30 minutes. But very quickly, if you'd want to answer a question that Mohammed had asked about, is there any mandatory dissertation or capstone projects that have to be completed, somewhere the company where you're gaining experience from during the professional exposure section? So what happens in that in the last 4 to 6 months?
So there are certain reports that you need to hand in. Criteria that are based on your that are aligned with your performance. So it's not a report, it's reports really. So it's not a complete project.
Great. And last question is from Ishan, and that's the question that you must be getting asked at every session. Maybe 3 tips that you can share about what is the key factor in deciding if a candidate should do the MIM right now or wait for a few years to gain experience and do the MBA.
It depends on what opportunities in front of you once you graduate. So if you have the opportunity to work for the company you want, for the industry that you want, go work, get the years of experience, and then you can do your MBA later. That's great. If you feel that, you're out in the market, but things are not working out, you're not doing what you want to do or what you're passionate at, get a MIM as soon as you can, within a year, so that you can make that pivot, you can make that change at a very early stage. Because if you don't have the right profile a few years down the road, the chances of you getting accepted to an MBA becomes difficult. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Segan, for that information. Thank you to all the 25 odd participants that have joined in for this session. If you have registered yourself for the profile evaluation session that has already started now, please do come in on time. The Zoom link is not this one. It's a new link. So if you haven't still registered, there is still 1 spot remaining, and I've put it in the chat. I'm just going to quickly put the link to book the profile evaluation session in the chat right now. But I would recommend for the folks that have booked theirs already, please do come on in and join the next session. And we'd be heading in there. Want to take this opportunity to thank you, Sagan, for taking our time to make this presentation to all the folks that have joined in. And we will see you in the profile evaluation session in the other Zoom meeting. So thank you so much, guys, and we will be in touch. And Sagan, just before we go, if you would like to quickly put your, the admissions email address, if candidates want to reach out to you, where can they reach out? Where can they send their email? If there's something that you can share on the chat, that will be be great for everyone
Yeah.
concerned. So Sagan has shared her email address. Quickly make a note of that email address, maybe take a screenshot, take a picture, etc. That will be super helpful. If you want to speak to her or you want to schedule some time with her outside of this, you can do that. We're going to head now, and we'll see you in the one-to-one sessions for the profile evaluations. Thank you so much, everyone who's joined us. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.